Former Jehovah's Witness here. I know the mind of a witness, and if you want to be effective talking to Jehovah's Witnesses, you want to try to avoid making these 5 mistakes. Number 1, you're rude. It's not rocket science. You're rude or aggressive or snarky or a jerk with anyone. It doesn't matter who it is or what it's about. They're not going to listen to you. Oh, but Bethany, you come on here and you make these videos criticizing Jehovah's Witnesses. If you're a Jehovah's Witness watching my videos, you shouldn't be here, all right? You're shopping on the black market. You assume the risk of being offended or feeling triggered. You kind of got that bubble when you're in service with other Jehovah's Witnesses. You seek out information in the real world. You get on the internet, you go on YouTube. I mean, the fact that you're here, that's awesome, but you're probably going to hear something you don't like. Otherwise, if Jehovah's Witnesses are standing at their car in their public ministry, or they come to your door, they knock on your door, don't be a jerk. I mean, think about it. When was the last time someone was a total prick to you and you were like, oh my God, I see your point. You won me over. You need to educate yourself, right? Nobody likes to be ambushed or like you're getting up in their face lecturing them. So like, don't ambush the witnesses at their literature carts when you see them in the town square. Don't do something stupid you know is going to scare them off. And yeah, they're in public. You have the right to approach them. But again, if your goal is to be effective and to appeal to them in some way, what's that old saying? You catch more flies with honey? And if they come to your door, being kind to them will disarm them instantly because they've been taught to expect the worst. How do I know this? It worked on me. Back when I was a witness, anytime I went to a door and someone was nice, I was like, holy crap. You know, not everyone in the world is evil and angry. It messes with their head. All right. You want to beat them at their own game. Show them that you're the bigger person. That, I can guarantee you, will leave more of an impression than any kind of verbal swordplay. Number 2, you target the wrong person. I've mentioned this before in numerous videos over the years. If a kid comes to your door, a Jehovah's Witness kid or teenager, some 20-something, you can tell they're like 22 or whatever, trust me, they do not want to be there. Don't give them crap. Their head is screwed up. Trust me, they are either already awake and just waiting for their prison break, or, they're just heavily indoctrinated, completely brainwashed, and nothing you say is gonna break the spell. I mean, even I remember being 16, 17, going to a door. I have some kid from the congregation, somebody's kid was with me and I was taking them. I was the older person that was taking them along with me door to door. And I got to this one door and he was just a total douche. Family guy, devout Christian, had a huge cross on his door. He had toddlers at his feet, oh, who's at the door? And I don't even care about that. I don't care about the fact that he was Christian or whatever. You could just tell he was patting himself on the back. He had a stupid smirk on his face. Dude, even if you're technically right, you're still talking to 2 brainwashed underage girls on your doorstep for half an hour. I'm a minor. I didn't have the wherewithal to think this is a dead end. I need to just leave. But here's the thing. Around the same time, a lady came to the door. She did not take the magazines. She was not interested, but she politely, I remember she looked me in the eyes. She politely declined the magazines. And she said, I want you to know you can be whatever you want to be in life. Hope you have a great day. And of course, that was her cryptic way of saying, you don't have to be a witness. You don't have to do what your parents are doing. And of course, I felt a little rattled inside. No Jehovah's Witness, especially a minor, doesn't want to feel rejected at the door. But I will give her this. Her intent was different and you could tell. She wasn't trying to put me on the spot and make me feel worse than I already felt. She could see it. You could tell that she felt bad for me, but she wasn't trying to make herself feel big in that moment. All this to say, a Jehovah's Witness kid comes to your door, or a teenager, 20-something or whatever, politely let them go. Don't answer the door at all. Or, I've said this before a million times, I'll say it again, ask to speak to an elder. If you got a bone to pick with the witnesses, pick an elder. All right, pick it with the people who are in charge. Women and children don't have any power in the organization. Find the guy in the suit. Pick a worthy opponent. Number 3, citing obscure references. So it's very common. I know some people feel really clever whenever they approach a witness and toss out some date 1914 or 607. The witness gets all flustered. I mean, if that's your goal, just to make them feel shitty, okay, why is this a problem? 1, because J-dubs can't even explain it, either because the logic is so confusing and crazy, or they do know how to explain it, but they can tell that you're trying to pull a gotcha. In that case, even they know that it's a really advanced concept in their theological house of cards. So even they're going to be why did you pick 1914 out of the blue? Or, the overlapping generations. Why are you bringing that up? How are you acquainted with this? How do you know this information? What have you been reading? Okay, it's going to send them into an automatic spiral and not trust you. And it's not necessarily that they're going to refuse to talk to you. I'm just warning you that their defenses will go up. It signals to them, This person has an agenda. This person in front of me, you know, they're not actually trying to learn about us as Jehovah's Witnesses. They're not actually interested in this teaching. They're trying to dismantle it. Yeah, you can do it anyway. They're in public. You have the right to approach them and talk to them about these things. May very well get the wheels turning. But again, if you're hoping to prolong the conversation or develop some sort of relationship with them where you get closer to them and talk to them more over time, just know that this is a tricky one to pull right up front. Number 4, mentioning something you read online. Never tell a witness that you went online. Oh, I read this article about Jehovah's Witnesses online, or I saw this YouTube video. Instant eye glaze. Apostate lies! These are supposed to be pearls. Jehovah's Witnesses, in case you didn't know, and I'm not even being sarcastic, you might not know this, they are a cult. They are a high control group, which means the leadership controls the flow of information for Jehovah's Witnesses. They control the narrative, they control or define what constitutes news, and tell Jehovah's Witnesses what types of news they're allowed to consume. And here's the thing, you should listen to both sides. You should let the other person have a chance to defend themselves. Listen to the witnesses. And you listen to one side of anything, it's literally the definition of an echo chamber. You're just listening to stuff or consuming news or information that's only confirming your bias. But again, this is something I've talked about many times in other videos, is that when you have thousands upon thousands of survivors, major news stories, enough corroborated evidence, court cases, about the Jehovah's Witnesses, major court cases that are like #MeToo. I mean, yeah, sure, you can hear the witnesses out. Like I said, you should. But they will never give credit the other way around. They will always cry persecution. They are always the victim. They're always going to put their spin on it, blame the victim. So what I'm saying is you tell a witness you went online, you better be prepared for that. All right, I'm warning you right now. It's going to be like you're talking to a brick wall. Number 5, criticizing the governing body. Jehovah's Witnesses are extremely sensitive about the governing body, about their leadership in upstate New York, and they will be incredibly defensive if you mention anything about them, anything that smells of criticism. Again, you can talk about any of this. Freedom of speech. Do whatever you want. I'm just saying, if you want to get through to them, tread lightly here. Again, it's a cult. I cannot overstate this. You are criticizing their leaders. Here's the thing. You have diehard believers who will worship, be Jehovah's Witnesses and will just follow whatever the governing body says, no matter what. So they'll definitely shut down. These will definitely shut down if you criticize the GB. But if someone's on the fence, like they secretly have doubts, they're not sure about the GB, they have their issues and they're kind of grappling with that, you criticizing them, criticizing the governing body could scare them back into their shell. These individuals who are questioning, they're kind of peeking their head out. And then they have someone like you who's like, man, that's Stephen Lett's a f***ing weirdo. You would be 100% correct in your assessment, but they're also taught that that man is appointed by God. Even though he looks like Marshall Applewhite's long-lost cousin, that man is still their leader. They still think he's appointed by God. So let them, no pun intended, let them come to this conclusion on their own. And then you guys can laugh about it afterwards. Because the truth is, maybe you have a little bit of hope or, comfort in this, take comfort in this. The governing body's been hanging themselves in the past 10 to 15 years. If you grew up in the organization like I did, like back in the 80s and 90s, the governing body, obviously it changes throughout the generations. The governing body was always, they used to be like these grandfatherly, mysterious, elusive grandfatherly figures that were in the background. Now the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses has JW Broadcasting. They're putting their craziness on display. You had Bottlegate with former governing body member Anthony Morris, where he was caught boozing it up somewhere in New Jersey on a Sunday morning when he should have been doing his, godly, righteous duties. So the governing body's definitely been doing more damage than they realize, so you don't need to rub it in. I guarantee you the person that you're talking to is already thinking about it. Just wait for them to say it. All right, it's your life. Do what you want, but take it from a former J-Dub of 30 years that if you want to try to get close to a witness, as close as you can't fully wake up a witness. They have to wake themselves up, but as close as you can get to a witness. Because you want to try to help them, try to get them to think, try to get those wheels turning. Doing these 5 things is just not the way to go about it, all right? If you see them in public or if they come to your door, and just be a little bit more discreet about it, a little bit more chill, or else they're just going to shut down. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.